Good evening, everyone. My name is Meteorologist Jacob Dickey. We're here for another Sunday Night Live. Every Sunday, we join together here at around the digital table and get to talk a little more in depth about the weather. A lot of things happened this weekend, of course. It is now 8:01 here on this Sunday evening. What we want to do first is we've got plans to talk about the snow right now. There's some road condition updates we have, and we'll talk when the snow's getting out of here. We'll look at some of the reports as well from the weekend, and then we've got to talk about some serious cold air that's now making its way in the picture here as we head into the following weekend, next weekend that is. Boy, does it look very chilly out there. So that's our plan here moving forth. Of course, if you're joining in tonight that is, be sure and let me know where in the comments you're watching from. We'll take time to answer those questions at the end. We also will like to hear any snowfall reports you have. If you've measured with the ruler or you got snow, let us know that. We appreciate you and your reports. Lots of you shared those with us throughout the weekend, and it really helped to understand what was happening in the field as far as what the snow was actually doing since we were battling some of that warm air yesterday. All of us today, though, really getting a good dose of some snow here in central Illinois. All right, we're going to get down to business and cover some things here. I want to start and taking a look at satellite and radar right now. Our big winter storm is exiting. It is on the way out. I'll point out some things for you, though. Big corridor of snow up to the northeastern United States. I bet you tomorrow, if you wake up, turn on CBS this morning and watch the morning show, they'll be talking about impacts in New York City. Some of the forecast amounts from New Jersey, eastern Pennsylvania, up towards New York City. 18 to 24 inches of snow, if not higher amounts than that. Big time winter storm up there, biggest one for the Northeast since in that part of the country, I should say, in a while. And really, it was the biggest snowstorm for Chicago since 2018. Up there, north of us, they got from 6 inches to a foot with some locally higher amounts. We saw quite a spread here in central Illinois. Let's talk more about the snow right now and what it's doing. Still overall light to moderate snow continues to slowly push to the south here. You'll notice some of the blue slowly disappearing. Some drier air starting to wrap in the backside of that area of low pressure. So this snow will be around for a few more hours. It's light and fine, but it is a very wet and heavy snow. Just a point of reference, sometimes people call the type of snow we have now heart attack snow. The reason being it's so wet and heavy. A lot of times when people are shoveling snow, if they've got cardiac issues, they can have heart attacks. The medical community has well documented instances like this where they see cases for heart attacks rise. So if you have a lot of heavy snow, be extra cautious. Some of you got quite the dumping. Others of us today, though, have snuck out with an inch or two in central Illinois. The snow will be working its way out from northwest to southeast in the next few hours. By midnight tonight, I think it's completely gone from central Illinois. We will leave the chance for some flurries of the rest of the night in through the day on Monday. The accumulating snow, though, midnight. We'll call the cutoff there. Let's talk about road conditions. They're getting bad pretty quick in some spots here. The sun's gone down. Our temperature's now starting to dip ever so slightly. This is the latest reports from the Department of Transportation, and I kind of colored it to make it look a little more clean as far as it goes. They go more by counties. It's a close reference if you're looking here. The interstates do have a few slick spots, particularly to the north in Iroquois and Ford County, and then even down in parts of Coles County. We've seen some slowdowns on 57. Overall, though, the road crews, they work on the major arteries first, and that's the interstates. Then they go down to the U.S. highways, and there's a lot of U.S. highways and state highways that are slick. They're slush covered. People are driving slow on it. Rightfully so, you shouldn't be driving 55 miles an hour when we've got wet snow like this. And then your town roads, my drive back from my dinner break, a big change from my apartment through Urbana into Champaign, how much it's deteriorated. We're just adding snow on top of slush, and that's causing some slick spots and causing some issues out there. So primarily those impacts being felt here, even as far south as Effingham. We've noticed on the IDOT traffic map, they're seeing a few slowdowns and some issues with roadways. Not nearly as bad as to the north, but the snow continues to push on through the area as far as it goes. So advice, I feel like this is common sense. We're in Illinois. We get snow events regularly. Slow down. How much more do I have to say? Should be about it. Make sure your headlights are on, too. I saw somebody who was driving without their headlights, and it's what? That was at 7 o'clock at night. Tisk, tisk, folk. All right, so that is the road conditions as far as it goes. We did have some measurements that we want to share here as far as it goes. Let me back that up real quick. I do want to talk more about the snow last night before we look at those measurements. And this is pretty interesting. I think you're going to like what this shows here. Here we are. This is the snow that was reported last night. What we're looking at is Iroquois, Champaign, Ford, McLean, Vermilion counties right here. Here you go. This is Champaign. There's Onarga and Gilman, Gibson City, Paxton, Danville. You've got Watseka right there, Bloomington Normal. You can see how sharp that cutoff was. I'll pull the map up full for you there. Very much a sharp cutoff. Gibson City missed out last night. I had a lot of angry friends up there, frankly. But just down the road then, you go down Route 9 to Hoopeston, the snowfall amounts came in 3 to 4 inches in Hoopeston. You go from Loda got an inch. We had a viewer report an inch of snow in Loda in the last night event. Just down the road, say Onarga, 2, 3, 4, 5 inches then as you get up past Ashcombe. And even the differences east and west. We had a report of 4 inches in Kempton up by Cabry. The highest totals, though, were in eastern Iroquois County, where we had a couple of 8-inch reports come in from near the community of Iroquois, up by Donovan, and even in Sheldon and whatnot. The difference even from Milford, from Loda to Milford, ain't that far. I've driven that many times. That was a short, 15, 20 miles, and it went from 1 inch to 6 inches there. So very much a tight gradient. And you'll notice how McLean County right here, Bloomington Normal, and Champaign-Urbana, that cutoff, what we had is we had just a little bit of warm air infiltrate in, and that kept it a rain for us in most spots there. But we've made up for it, we think, with the snow that has come into the area today. These are some of those reports across the region from today's snow event. It has primarily been a today for most other areas, though some of these reports are a little outdated. Those highest reports, again, Donovan, Sheldon, and even Clifton, Dwight getting 6 inches. We had 4 and 5 reports in Hoopeston and Kempton. There's a few discrepancies with adding the snow today. This came out at about 4 o'clock. We'll have to wait till tomorrow morning to see some of those official reports. I do know Champaign, though, is now above 2 inches, and it is a heavy, wet snow. We know that because look at this here. These are rainfall totals, and there's some overlap in the towns that got snow with the rain, too. For instance, Hoopeston got 1.3 inches of rain on top of the snow they saw. A lot of folks, though, between the 1 inch and 1.5 inches as far as the rainfall went. If we had converted this to snow in the area, normally we look at a 10 to 1 ratio. It would have been more of a 7 to 8 to 1 ratio. A wetter, heavier, dense snow. This would have put up 6 to 9 inches across much of central Illinois if we had had the temperature profile just right. That close. That's all we were from this, but we will take the rain. We're still battling drought conditions, and this was a good soaker for us here in central Illinois. So tonight, the snow is done by midnight. We've got a few isolated flurries into the morning. Those north winds, 15 to 30, will help some drier air sneak on in. We'll lower the dew point values, get the snow out of here, and that, I think, lets those temperatures drop into the mid to upper 20s out there. That could cause issues with roadways. Some slick spots are likely out there tomorrow, especially with this slush. It may give it a chance to ice up in a few places. So fair warning if you're heading out tomorrow morning, especially on the less traveled roads. Usually your main arteries, your interstates, and your major highways are overall much better than your side streets, rural roads, and places like that. So that's what we're watching. All right, so here's Future Track showing that snow getting out of here. Monday then, we're looking mostly cloudy, maybe a little sunshine. Fingers crossed. I'm not optimistic for it, but we think a few flurries may dot the landscape as we go into Monday night. All right, here we go. We're going to talk about the polar air coming our way next, but I first have a housekeeping note to put on in here. Rat-in-the-Ground Day is coming up. That's on February 2nd, so that'll be Tuesday. Some people call it Groundhog's Day. I call it Rat-in-the-Ground Day. That's how it goes. We want to talk about the accuracy of the rat in the ground. And as far as it goes for Phil in Pennsylvania, the updates that we have, the National Weather Service and the NCDC did a survey, a study, and he's about 40% right, whether it's an early spring or 6 more weeks of winter. The good news is your favorite team of WCIA 3 weather meteorologists and forecasters here, according to our source in the Facebook comments, we're right 50% of the time. So we're a bit more accurate than the groundhog as far as it goes. Trust us, not this guy. But it's fun. I get it. I will say this, though. Phil better see his shadow, because I think a lot more winter is going to be coming here. Let's jump right into that and talk about it here. First off, our next system comes in sometime into Thursday. It likely starts as a rain, and then as we transition through into Thursday night, on the backside, we may mix some snow, and it won't be a clean snow event. Cold air rushing in on the backside, the first of 2 Arctic fronts coming our way. This one resets us from milder temperatures on Wednesday and Thursday. to colder air Thursday night into Friday and Saturday before the next front sneaks on in. And that's the one that I think is going to do some damage here across parts of central Illinois. This is the 8 to 14-day outlook for the second week of February. I really think we're going to see an active pattern stick around through the first half of February. We'll see what happens after that. But you see this blue here, that's above normal odds for colder than normal temperatures. Average temps this time of year, low 30s at day. At nighttime, it's down in the upper teens. That gives you a reference point of where we're looking at here as far as moving forth. All right, this is the source of our problems, I guess you could say. You will probably hear buzzwords about polar vortex moving forth. This is all it is. It always exists. It is a large area of low pressure stationed around the poles. There's one at the North Pole, there's one at the South Pole. And they're always there. Sometimes the national media will say polar vortex as a buzzword, and sounds really scary, especially the word vortex. Sometimes people think tornado. It's just a big dome of cold air at the top. In the wintertime, it expands. The summertime, it shrinks a little bit. Every so often, it can send some summer air or some winter air to the south, some cold air, that is. And that's what's looking like is happening here. We first mentioned this 2 weeks ago, right here on this Sunday Night Live. And so that's something we have to watch. This is some of our forecast guidance that we're looking at for next Sunday. The lows on the guidance, these are just a handful of the numbers that I look at when I forecast here in central Illinois. Low Sunday morning, -11, 1, -3, 6, -1, 11, 18. That's cold, below average here. Some of it very cold. Your highs Sunday, some of the guidance we look at has said -1. Maybe it's 9, 13, 16, 11, 12, and 20. Good signals across the board. Colder air is coming by Sunday. Could get here a little earlier. I think Sunday, though, we're going to notice a big difference just in time for the big game. 63 of 75 of the ensembles between the two major models that we look at are below average. That's a pretty resounding signal for colder air coming on in here. And so this is something we've got to watch here. Again, these numbers, all these guidance numbers are, is we have weather models that give us information. It's just calculating. It's like you put something in your calculator, it gives you a number back. That's all this does. Our job is to go in and start figuring out what's going on, what do these numbers mean. So I have some different guidance that I favor in certain situations. In certain situations, I have some where I'm maybe not as prone to it here across what's going on. But you can't ignore the signals of some bitter cold air being on the way as we go into next Sunday here in central Illinois. Here's why we've got to watch for the polar vortex. Of course, that's up here in far north Canada. You'll start to see these pinks and whites spill to the south. Here we go, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday into Monday. Look at that. The signal is there for cold air to sink on in. We're going to put highs below zero. I'm sorry, let me rephrase that. We are going to put lows Sunday morning below zero. We'll put highs in the low teens. But you've also got to think about the wind chill here. We're pushing all of this cold air south. There's going to be a strong north wind, not only as we go into the weekend, but even with that first front here. Let's talk more about that. Here we go. Thursday at noon. We think we're climbing into the 40s, maybe mid-40s, depending on the timing of the front. Strong south winds, mild air. Great, we like that. But that's usually how things go this time of the year when we have mild air. It's got to be windy out of the south. By Friday, look what happens. The wind direction changes out of the north and west here. Blustery, still 30 to 45 miles an hour. We got to talk wind chills when we got winds like this. And watch what happens as we go into Saturday and Sunday. We may get a little bit of a south wind here Saturday before the front rolls on through, but here it is, 1:30 according to guidance. Sometime during the day Saturday, that front likely rolls on in. There it goes. We've got, again, north and west winds bringing in that Arctic air mass by Saturday night. 35 to 45 mile-an-hour wind gust across central Illinois. So we talk about the air temperature. The wind chill will be a much more accurate representation. And frankly, Kevin, Jack, Amelia, and I, we've all been talking in our group chat about how some wind chill values, -10, -15, -20, on the table here with this next event if it pans out as expected. I will say this. There's still room for things to change. We're 7 days out, but with such a strong signal, it can't be ignored. And that's why we're really advertising this a week ahead as far as it goes. And so this colder air will come with a strong north and west wind. The air temperatures, yes, will be very cold, but the wind chill values is where we're going to really feel things for the coldest air of the season likely to make it in on here. I will mention this for you still on. There's a chance I'm wrong. You Facebook trolls and folks on Facebook who love to rip into us say we're 50% right. So maybe this is the 50% we're not right. But again, I just think that signal, we've been watching it for a few weeks now, it really is starting to show like it's going to line up for the eastern United States. However, I will say this. I don't see it being a sustaining cold blast of 7 to 10 days of this. We had that back in, I was a junior in University of Illinois. That would have been back in 2013, 2014 or so. It was so cold. Windshield values negative 30, negative 35, a lot of snow out there. That is a factor as far as it goes when we talk about those long duration cold events. We, one, don't really think we'll have a lot of snow on the ground, so that will help maybe limit the duration. But two, the blocking pattern we would normally see for that just isn't there. So it seems like this may be a couple of days and then we'll rebound back, but we may start seeing more of these swings here into February. If you're a snow lover, this is good. You want this with this cold air coming on in to get some snow potentially. If we can lock it in and get it to time just right, that's what we want. You get those milder temperatures and we see these mixed rain, snow, slush events where everyone gets mad at us and no one wins the forecast and we're terrible at our job. But you get that solid cold air in here, just like we're seeing here with Future Track showing things into the weekend and early next week. Time it out right, and that's a good source of cold air for any type of weather event that's sliding on through. All right, I think, let me double check and make sure that's what I got. I think that's it. So we're going to wrap things up here, talk about questions, recapping the review at the end of the lesson, the lecture, whatever you want to call it. Snow done by midnight. It's about 1 to 2 inches on the ground right now, some spots a little more. Slick spots likely Monday morning, especially with temperatures into the upper 20s in some places. Front comes through sometime Thursday into Friday. That'll bring our next chance for moisture. Saturday into Sunday, another front comes. That one's really going to drop temperatures down. Still is a reasonable degree of uncertainty, but with such a strong signal, we're pretty confident it's going to be at least below average. The big question mark is how cold will it be? So understand that there will be some changes coming, but I think it's a good game that we'll see some of this cold sneaking on in. And yes, the winds will also be a factor, both Thursday and Friday, again into Saturday and Sunday for the forecast here as far as things go. That's the review for the night. What we're going to do now is turn to the comments. If you have any questions, we would love to hear those and see what you're saying here. And if you have any snow reports, we greatly appreciate those and want you to share your reports with us if we post it on Facebook, Twitter, social media. You can email us photos. You can send us photos directly through the WCIA 3 weather app. All of those ways are great ways that you can connect with us here across central Illinois and let us know what's going on in your neighborhood. All right, it's about 8:20 now, so we're going to scroll all the way back to the top of these comments here and see what we got. Jamie saying in Effingham, just a trace of snow started sticking. Argenta reported some snow. Still some flurries in Charleston, but the ground is covered. About 2 inches in Newman. That's in Douglas County. Half inch to an inch in the ground in Charleston, reported from Brittany. Thanks for that report, Brittany. 2 inches in Urbana. Carrie. We have been friends during this event. I've been counting on you for those reports up in Clifton. I'd be interested, Carrie, and maybe you already put it, what the numbers will be for snow up in Iroquois County. Clifton was at 6 inches earlier, and they kept snow through the day today. They've probably added to that. A couple inches in Chrisman, down in Edgar County. That's south of Danville. Still spitting in Tolono, and Tricia says a couple of inches there. Maybe an inch in Gibson City. Kim sharing that. Mama Dickey said there's about an inch and a half, so that's right on cue. Leah is asking for summer. Anyone else want summer? I want spring. I'm a big spring fan. You get those thunderstorms. That's where I really find my groove. This is my first real winter, I guess, in a number of years. I've been down in Mississippi and Oklahoma for about 4 or 5 years. So I'm kind of fun, but I'm tired of it. I just want the big, clean snow then. No rain mixing in, none of this garbage, 32-degree freezing line. Make it 28 and a solid snow the whole way through, start to finish, area-wide, and then I'll be ready for spring. But it doesn't seem like that's going to happen. Still, Kendra reporting some snow in rural Onarga. Joey asking about the total for Watseka. Last I had heard up there, Watseka from the National Weather Service was sitting at 6 inches. I don't know how much more they've added. My guess is about 2 inches onto that. But also the thing with wet snow like this is it will compact down as it slowly melts and as the weight of it just pulls down. Heavy snow is well known to compact here, so it's hard to get a true estimate of what this snow is as far as it goes. And we've struggled a little bit with that with reports, but those impacts have been pretty much the same across the board. Michelle shared that she got 3 inches of snow. We got some friends checking in down in Texoma, my old television market. Wet snow in Hoopston still. We've got Chelsea saying Humboldt is very bad. 2 inches of snow reported, that coming in from Frida, added to this evening. Lori asking the question, how will roads be around 5 a.m.? I fully expect that there'll be some slush and ice and some slick spots out there. The main focus will be for the road crews will be those main arteries, your major roads, you know, Champaign-Urbana, you think University, Neal Street, you think, you know, Cunningham. Roads like that, they'll work hardest on. The state crews will work hardest on the interstates first, and then they'll work on the U.S. highways, and then the state highways, and then your side streets. So the less traffic there is on a street, the worse the impacts will be, but still, plan on some slick spots out there tomorrow morning here in central Illinois, especially with this heavy wet snow and temperatures dipping down a little bit tonight. 8.7 was the report from Gilman this morning. Probably another 2 inches and still snowing. Thanks, Vicki, for that. Yeah, Bloomington Normal didn't fit in the graphic, so I got to put Blono on there. That's what I call it growing up. Be nice to Phil. Sorry. If you missed that, you can go back and watch and see what she's meaning there. Wind equals annoying. Yeah, it really does. And that southeast wind we had really was the factor for issues with the heavy wet snow last night and why some folks didn't get it that we thought would. So that is what we're looking at here as far as it goes across the region. So continue a few more chats here before we wrap it up. Again, Brenda saying, hope for just snow, no polar vortex, please. I don't want you to be freaked out about the word polar vortex. It's a natural thing. It just sounds scary. It kind of sounds scary like a haboob, a dust storm is all that is. And yeah, they can cause problems as far as it goes. You know, one of those terms where I don't even know, it's an actual weather term, but I think the media caught onto it and grabbed it and ran with it, and you know, people got misconceptions as far as what it is. 1/2 inch reported in Mattoon. Rachel is reporting about 1.5 inches. There's some out in the country. We've got Karen saying snow and blowing in Potomac, Vermilion County. The same from Amber in Paxton. And Rachel says that was in Mattoon. Villa Grove, about the same, 1.5 inches. Here's the big one. Boy, just across the state line, Kentland, Indiana, 9.5 inches so far. Jenna sharing that. Thanks, Jenna. Tracy saying just measured 6 inches in Milford. I would be very interested to see how much of that is new, fresh snow. The problem is you get this heavy, wet snow, and you get a break, and then you add more snow on top. You really struggle to get one of those measurements as far as things go. Brian says, appreciate the 1 week heads up on very cold opportunity to treat diesel fuel tanks on semi-truck. Yeah, that's something to think about here moving forward. I will say this, Brian, could it stay warm? Sure, absolutely. But right now, that guidance is such a strong signal. That's why we really are looking at it and saying, things may be, you know, the first real Arctic blast of the season, the coldest weather yet for this winter season here in central Illinois. And other than that, that looks like we're at the bottom of the comments, so we're going to wrap this Canarble wagon up. Thank you all for joining in here. I'm meteorologist Jacob Dickey as we continue to watch the snow exit. Again, it's out by midnight. I'm sure a lot of folks will be ready for some sunshine. Colder air is coming in as we go into next week. If you missed that, Saw that a couple of comments sneak on in last second about, hey, wait, what, cold? You can go back and watch this video. It will be posted on Facebook, on Twitter, on YouTube, and available for you to rewatch. Of course, we're done here at about 8:26. You can join me for the latest forecast updates on WCIA 3 News at 9 on WCIX. And at 10 o'clock on WCIA 3. I think we're going to be on time tonight for the news. That's good news as far as it goes. So we'll be looking at that snow to be done by midnight. Still some problems for the morning commute with residual impacts. Some slick spots likely out there. We'll watch that video and have those full updates for you coming up tonight at 9 and 10. And then join Amelia Henderson in the morning. She'll have updates on roads and much, much more in Central Illinois. Take care. Have a great rest of your Sunday night. Next week, a personal note here, there will not be a Sunday Night Live. We'll probably do it Saturday night just because of the big bowl game that we've got, the big game, the Super Bowl that is, in Central Illinois. And so we will probably do it Saturday night and then resume our Sundays after that. Take care. We'll see you at 9 and 10 tonight, and have a great